Hi everybody, welcome to Aimee Nolte Music, and more importantly, welcome to my thoughts about 2020 NAMM. The first time I went to NAMM was a couple years ago as a guest of IK Multimedia, and it was pretty fun, and it was also really weird. What I did was I just kind of walked around and took it all in, and from time to time, I'd see somebody that I knew, and I think it was probably the first time I got recognized from YouTube, so that was really fun. You get to see a lot of strange things at NAMM. You also get to hear some really cool things at NAMM. And you also get to meet new people. And the best part is seeing people you haven't seen in a long time and reconnecting.
Oh my gosh, look who it is!
You know something funny about the word dump?
Tom, please.
It should mean cereal. I'll tell you why it should mean cereal. Because the D is like a bowl for your cereal, right?
Yes.
The U is like a bowl for your cereal. The M's, that's 2 bowls for your cereal. And the P, that's the spoon. Blip, 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 blip.
But the one common denominator that I absolutely noticed everywhere I went was noise.
Amplifier built specifically for that shape and design, and even though it's really loud in here at the NAMM show, you can still hear it, but when you hear it...
And in case you don't know this about me, I don't do well with chaotic noise. And just about everywhere you go at NAMM is just crazy chaotic noise, which is the reason I didn't become a middle school jazz band teacher. I was kind of starting to make a mental note to myself as I walked around a couple years ago that I would never come back to this terrible place again, except that I remember walking past the Earthworks booth downstairs and something happened. I thought, I love that PM40 microphone and I've played with it several times on stage, and I wonder if I could just talk to them about it. Well, turns out as soon as you tell people that you have a little bit of a YouTube following, they might want to help you out. So that was something I discovered at my first NAMM, and that's how I got my wonderful Earthworks sponsorship and also on-stage stands. This year, Earthworks asked me to come in as a featured artist to demonstrate a couple of their microphones, the PM40 and also their new live SR314, which is actually just a live version of this SV33 that I've been using for a couple of years now. They also paired me up with up-and-coming wonderful jazz vocalist Pascal Pal, who's a really good improviser. You might not notice unless you looked pretty carefully, but in this video, I am sweaty and out of breath, and not for any good reason. That morning before I performed, I got to NAMM early to hear Bobby McFerrin with his group Gimme 5 perform. That was at about 10 o'clock. I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but Bobby McFerrin is just one of my, probably my greatest living hero. And every time I've ever heard him perform, I get this overwhelming feeling of happiness and this overwhelming feeling of sadness. Happy because of the possibilities that his talent brings into the world, and sadness because I know that it can't last forever and I might not ever get to be a part of it. I'm sure you guys have all had those kind of feelings before. But the experience is always amazing, and I'd like to let you hear a little bit of that completely improvised performance by Gimme 5. back to my story. His performance was over at 10:30. I had to perform at 11. And at NAMM, you can get anywhere in a half hour. That's doable, unless you happen to walk to the wrong building. So I'm looking for booth number 14209. And it's a maze in there, and it's not easy. And I get over to the 1400s, and I realize that there is no 14209, and it's about 1050 at this point. I thought I was right next to it. Turns out I was a heck of a long ways away from it. Anyway, this is when I wished that I had a skateboard with me or something, because Aimee went into full-on run mode. I'm just like booking up the escalators. Please let me by. Excuse me, I gotta get by. Anyway, when I showed up, totally sweaty, totally out of breath, did a quick sound check, and just started performing with Pascal, who I had never met before in my life. Now, playing with somebody that I have barely met, I've done that lots of times before. Usually goes pretty well, because jazz is jazz no matter where you go. So that's really cool. The thing that I didn't see coming, well, the thing that I didn't totally bank on was the fact that there was chaotic noise coming at me from every angle, and most specifically about 20 feet to the right of me, where there was an electronic drum demonstration. Maybe it was a metal demonstration. But anyway, that group and I and Pascal, we kind of went mano a mano the whole time.
And I remember spring, all the joys that love can bring. God.
Somehow I managed to concentrate, and Pascal and I held it together, and that was okay. But then I had 2 tunes to play by myself, and I had picked some kind of hard tunes. And as I started to keep my own beat, which was triplet based, with all of these other kind of accents, the metal group next to me started their own thing. I was totally thankful that quite a few people stuck around. I had friends there, and I had people I didn't know there, and they all kind of had my back. And thank goodness for Ben Levin, who showed up and actually took this camera from me and got all of the footage that you're watching of my performance. Thank you, Ben. Now, something happened while I was performing. Now, I don't know how it happened, but as I very quietly played my last note, dude next door very loudly sang his last note. You can call it fate. You can call it luck. I just call it rock and roll. It might not have been so bad if it was a slightly different time that I performed. You just can't predict those kind of things. You can't predict the noise. There are rules about decibel levels. Those guys were not following those rules, but there's nothing to do about it. So it was what it was, and I actually really enjoyed playing because I could hear myself on the monitors that Earthworks had set up for me, and that's SR314 sounded good amidst everything else that was going on. And of course, the PM40 always just does the job. And the people who were watching in the audience said that they could hear nicely as well, as long as they just stood right up next to the speakers. Plus, that SR314 is just about the sexiest looking microphone I've ever seen. Sometimes people ask me how being a mom and being a musician is possible, how I can do both, and being a YouTuber, I guess, how doing all those things at the same time is possible for me. And NAMM was a good example of how things can get difficult sometimes, but you just push through and make them work. I woke up that morning before my 13 and 16-year-old sons woke up and just got the heck out of Dodge. I went over to NAMM, left them sleeping, but I knew that I had a limited window of time because said 16-year-old had asked a girl to a winter formal that night, and I was going to be the one to drive them. When I finished my performance, I went with my friends Jessica and Ben and new friend Joseph over to the Korg booth because I had heard that the SV2 keyboard had come out, and I already have an SV1 and I like it a lot. Now, the Korg people don't really know who I am, but when I got over there, I started talking to people and they were interested because I have a YouTube following and they wanted to help me out. I just wanted to show you guys the SV2 and get somebody to talk about the specs about it. But by the time we found the right person to talk to, it turned out he was on a break and I was going to have to wait an hour for him. Right about then, I got a text from Charlie telling me that his date had said that he needed a beige dress shirt to match her dress for the winter formal that night. And he didn't own a beige dress shirt, so I lost that hour. I had to go shop for the beige dress shirt for Charlie. And I just kind of had to tell the people at Korg, sorry, I can't wait an hour. So sometimes that happens, you know, you just have to set your priorities, and sometimes right in the moment. I thought I had enough time, didn't end up having enough time, had to take off that YouTuber hat, put on the mom hat, there isn't really a mom hat, and go take care of my son. Luckily, I got a little bit of footage of the beautiful SV2 keyboard and some guy who wouldn't get off it for 1 second to give me a chance. And of course, that was the right call to make. I would do it again. Charlie needed me, and sometimes, I mean, that's kind of my answer, is you just kind of have to see what you need to get done, what is most important to actually get done, and then do that thing. So that was my NAMM experience. I want to thank Bobby McFerrin for being who he is and giving the kind of performance that he did with his group. I want to thank Earthworks for having me there for what turned out to be the most difficult performance of my life, but also one of the funniest. I want to thank my friends for coming to see me. I want to thank the people I didn't know that came and saw me, and you for watching right now. If you get a chance to go to NAMM, just know that you're going to leave with a headache, but some good things might happen, mostly in the form of connections, I think. But I do think that the good outweighs the bad, and I'll definitely go back again. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you next time on Aimee Nolte Music.